Hello everyone, my name is Matt Scorpion and welcome back to another reset in Destiny. So it is the second week of the Solstice event, which means there is another full reset to go until this event ends. So if there's any sort of weapons, any sort of armaments, armor ornaments, or any sort of glows, anything Solstice-wise you want to get your hands on, go for it. And I will also say, just as an emphasis, any glowing armor like these fellows have over here, if you don't earn it or unlock the ornaments for it by the end of the event, you won't be able to get them until next event, so I'd recommend getting them while you can. Now, aside from that, there is, of course, nothing exactly developing for Solstice, because with these events, the usual way they come out, it's everything available right at the bat, so, you know, you do your next set of things. Pretty much the only thing that would have reset seasonal-wise for the event would have been the pinnacle that you get from Bonfire Bash, but I forget if my Warlock even has access to that, so I can't say exactly if it resets. Logic says it will. Now, getting into the broad spectrum of the world, now, the current active booster is Boosted Infamy for Gambit, and I have a feeling this is the last one in the season, so if there was ever a time to at least get a jump start on Gambit, and yes, I literally haven't played it at all this season, but pretty much if you wanted to get to work on it, start working on it, or finish off anything that requires rank, the ornament, anything, a reset, gear, anything, I'd recommend going for that now. Now, aside from that as well, in the Strike playlist, it is currently the Light Blade for the active Nightfall, which isn't exactly an easy one to farm, but there are methods nowadays that make it easier, like going invisible the entire boat ride, pretty much just being cautious and all that cool, and variety of methods, so look for the variety of speedrun methods, they'll get you through it. But your modifiers are as follows: Arc and Solar Shields, Barrier Unstoppable Champions, Arc Threat, as well as the usual Grandmaster modifiers. Then you also have Extinguish, Limited Revives, Empath for increased melee damage, Shaft for no radar, Overcharged Weaponry, which is basically anything off the artifact, and Kinetics that match your subclass, or Kinetics when subclass matches active Surges. Surges being Arc and Void, as well as an Overcharged Grenade Launcher bonus. Now, it doesn't exactly specify, so I can't say if it's heavy or lightweight as well, but pretend like it's both, just in case. And if you actually manage to grind out the Nightfall and get access to some things, as well as the Grandmaster version, you'll have access to the Wendigo GL3 in its Adept form. Now, I also will warn folks that this one, I'm not 100% sure because Bungie hasn't officially put it on the axe bed just yet, but this is the last time this season this will be available until next season Grandmasters pop up, which could be at least like 8 weeks, but at that point as well, if this leaves a rotation, the Adept version of it won't be available. I know the Adept isn't exactly required to be good, considering Wendigo with Cascade Point, Explosive Light, a variety of other options are still pretty solid, but when they go into Legacy, you won't have the option to Adept mod it, so you will be missing out on a bit of optimization there. Now, in terms of the rest of the world, like I said with Gambit, boosted rank, so that's everything we need to know there. Crucible, there's currently momentum control in PvP for rotation, and as well, there is still no Iron Banner, which means that, what's the word? Trials of Osiris will be back next week, and I believe this is the last week for the machine gun or the hand cannon, one or the other, and then the following week will be whatever alternate I didn't just say. And then as well for a rotation, it is Zone Control for the Mayhem playlist up there, so that is everything. Now, in terms of the wide variety of the world, now the season is pretty much in its final steps. Now, if you actually check our seasonal tab, we got to week 10, which is the last week of challenges for the seasonal variety. So there is a lot of options to earn Bright Dust if you wanted to just farm experience or Bright Dust. So going through pretty much any of these challenges that offer them will give you a decent amount of, progress for that to help you with the seasonal event in case you missed anything. And to that as well when going into the seasonal details. Now, might as well visit the helm for that. For our rotation of the Defiant Battlegrounds, it is the Orbital Prison. I know it doesn't say it, but I have faith because I just did the Cosmic Garden yesterday and I'm on the grind for it. Then as well, with our Salvage Legendary, the current rotation for it is Fallen, with the jobs being Engineering, Ordnance Disposal, and Site Security, and the final boss being Azradat, the Hive Knight. Then, as far as I know, that's everything for Deep Dives and Salvage seasonal-wise. So hopefully, next season we can continue to update stuff on there. Now, our broad spectrum stuff for our Pinnacle Challenge farming. Now, the raid is currently Vault of Glass, which means that all 5 challenges are active as per usual, as well as Master Mode being made available, with mobility-focused armor coming from it this time, with the modifiers being, of course, all challenges active, Arc and Void Shields, Barrier and Overload champions, Overcharged seasonal weaponry, as well as Arc and Void Surge again, and Overcharged rocket launchers as well. So if you wanted to farm it out, that is what it is. Now, of course, this is only going to be available for the next week. So whether it is Master Challenge modes, Time Lost weaponry, anything you want to earn from Multiclass that is Master Mode specific, or just grinding out Vex Mythoclast in an Atheon Challenge, you can go ahead and take care of that. Then, as well, for our rotation dungeon is the Shattered Throne, which is possibly the worst option, well, or at least the least effective, because while it does have some gear that is a little bit better spawning, there's no exotic that is a random drop. There is no gear that is not available anywhere else, because it is also just more Dreaming City gear. So, is it good for a Pinnacle? Yes. Do I recommend farming it? Not exactly, even though it is probably the easiest dungeon to farm nowadays. But getting into the broad spectrum of the rest of the things, so going into the Dreaming City as well for our raid rotations. For Last Wish, it is Strength of Memory Challenge, which is Riven Challenge, which I think if you cheese Riven, it just automatically completes it, so you don't have to worry about that exactly. Then for Garden of Salvation is currently To the Top Challenge, which I forget that challenge, but I think it is, well, I'm not exactly sure, but it is To the Top. I always have to remember for that one. Then going on to Europa for Deep Stone Crypt, it is currently the Red Rover Challenge, which is First Encounter Security Challenge. Basically, you have to have everyone do a operator role in... I'm pretty sure everyone has to be operator, which results in this being a minimum 3 phase. So if it's for farming, I would recommend just waiting for another week for farming out encounters. Then checking with everything again, King's Fall current active raid is the hands-off challenge for King's Fall, but no master mode. Then going to Vow of the Disciple for Rolk, it is currently Defenses Down challenge, which is third encounter, which is basically the same person cannot kill the knight to extend timers more than once. It's very finicky, that one. And then wrapping everything up with the Neo Muna and Root of Nightmares rotation. So the current active challenge is Crossfire, which is second encounter challenge. Basically, you cannot have anyone on your side of the arena shoot your crystal to transfer someone over. It has to be somebody else, and you cannot shatter skate or grapple across on your own. It has to be somebody else letting you across for challenge mode. Then as well for master mode farming, it is Disciple Focused Armor with the usual same tricolor modifiers, master modifiers, Arc and Void Surge, and Overcharged Shotgun as it always has. And while we're here on Neo Muna, now I'll give y'all some warning as well. For Solstice, the Neo Muna challenges, weekly missions, you'll need to do 10 of them starting from the start. I would recommend, honestly, just getting a group together and running a Root of Nightmares, and just running it all the way through, start to finish, and doing the first encounter again. Because it's 20% per encounter, and it will wipe it out. So, if you have no idea how to progress that, or are really struggling going slow, just go ahead and run a Root of Nightmares, and you'll hopefully get through it very quickly. Then, with the rest of the Neo Muna stuff, with the weekly mission, it is the third mission, which is Downfall of infiltrating the heart of Calus' lair and destroying the Darkness Relay. Basically, the one where you go inside of that ship, which I forget what it's called. Oh, the Typhon Imperator. That's what it is. And then for our rotations, we have the Vex Incursion Zone in Liming Harbor, which also means the Partition Hard Reset is available. That's the Sparrow one, in case anyone needs that for Pinnacles or otherwise. Now, that is pretty much everything throughout the world now. Of course, I will mention once again, the fishing farm is pretty much still all 3 zones are max activity. I think when next season starts, it might start rotating again. But pretty much, if there was a time that you wanted to go for any of the locations now, while exotic buff isn't there, so there's not the double rate of exotic fish, there is generally just more fish spawning at all 3 locations. So they're helping you in case you want to grind out any experience, get any gear, or complete any, challenges related to fishing. And before we get too far into Banshee, lastly, Eternity for Dares of Eternity on the Master Mode rotation is currently Hive, Vex, and Ballast to Auric in the Disciples of Nay. Now, checking in Banshee as well, on his front page we have a few good weapons as usual. We have Fire Fright, which is a precision frame, slower firing auto rifle. Now, while this setup isn't exactly the greatest, well-rounded, and Osmosis, while Osmosis is good for subclass wise, it's in general, you know, if it's not a grenade build, you might not have access to it. But I would vouch for this one. It just is, it needs to be crafted and also enhanced crafted before it starts getting good. Honestly, kind of same with Nezarac's Whisper. I know this one's up a lot. It's also craftable, but at the same time, it's got a weird array of perks that honestly only come to good fruition when you actually get it crafted and enhance them. Then we also have Combined Action, which is a hand cannon, new to this season in the Gunsmith field-tested variety. Now, this has options for good rolls. It has things like Kill Clip, Volt Shot, and a variety of like that. But it is also not crafted, so that of course hampers its progress a little bit. But it also has some pretty not great rolls on the view right now. But hopefully a new, better one comes soon. Then we also have Sail Spy Pitch Glass, which is a arc linear fusion rifle from Season of Plunder. Also a craftable one, so you can get exactly the rolls you want. But this is a nice side option for linear fusion rifles, especially with Volt Shot, considering it really helps it with Volt Shot being a heavy weapon. And speaking of which, we also have Tarnished Metal, which is probably one of the best PvE scout rifles that is in the game right now, with access to, well, pretty much the god roll being Rapid Hit and Volt Shot among a variety of other options. It is pretty solid and pretty much a go-to for me next Division of Confluence in the scout rifle department. Now for Gunsmith random weapons, we have on the front page the newest SI6 from last season, basically a burst pistol, new and stasis-ish, so it's trying to relive the old meta, but of course it is a stasis weapon, so it always subclass dependent. Same thing with Irukanji, which in this case is a pretty solid damage option, firing line and under pressure to keep the shot. But of course, it does have things like fourth time to charm and firing line, so hopefully there is better options for this in case anyone wants a decent kinetic scout rifle for damage. Then we also have Pleiades Corrector, which is one of the outdated versions of weapon. This is Amalon, but it is also not Amalon updated, and it is quite old and hasn't been refreshed since over 6 seasons. So hopefully soon these two, as in the side, because it's a part of the same group, can get something to spice up their effectiveness, because otherwise they're pretty just solid meh. And then we also have Palmyra B and Typhon. Both are from Witch Queen, both being stasis, only the rocket launcher being craftable though. And it has a pretty solid loadout options with Explosive Light Autoloader being the go-to for a lot of people, but also Chill Clip can happen on the both of these, so some bonus shatter damage for you in case you need it. And then Typhon has great options in its perks. Unrelenting Explosive Light, Chill Clip, a variety of good grenade launcher perks. Sadly, this one isn't craftable, and of course, Amalon isn't exactly a good perk for a grenade launcher. So, here's hoping to that. And wrapping up our weekly reset, we have a few shaders from old times past. First being Rasmussen Clan, which is something that I used to wear permanently on my Titan. Now, I always forget that the Taken King set isn't exactly great for examining things for armor, because they kind of do some wonky things with shaders. So let's go for here. Now, this is a Black Armory set one, so it does have that live Black Armory Radiance, but it's a pretty solid look, and I'm not going to lie, it took me by surprise on this setup. Might change my shader for this loadout, but yeah, no, it's pretty solid. Green and gold with a hint of darker colors. It looks pretty solid if you're bringing out the old Irishman in here for time to time. And then you also have Kairos Gold, which is from Season of Osiris, or Mercury, Season of Mercury, whenever we got that season, whatever it's officially called. But it's a pretty much just Mercury Wanderer, where you look like your Brother Vance knockoff, sort of. And we have War Cult Camo, back from the Future War Cult shader group, which is pretty much not that bad of a shader, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's everyone's choice whether or not they want to use it or not. As shaders are. I'm just rambling at that point. But with that, my name is Matt Scorpion. Thank you for watching. This has been the Reset Update, and I'll of course be doing Eververse, and I will give a heads up in the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks left to go in the season, I might condense my Eververse and Reset videos, so in case you're looking for one or the other, they might just be shoved together, so apologies in case that's inconvenient, but it just lightens a bit of a load on me. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion, I will see you in the next video.